Good morning. Happy Monday. It is mat day. Good morning. We're going to lie down and start resting back into the mat this morning. It's Monday. Might have been a long weekend working in your garden. Before you get too cozy, of course, collect the props that you would like to use for class. A blocker ball for between the inner thighs, maybe a flex band. There are some exercises that the flex band is really helpful with. And then maybe weights, if you like weights for your hands. A blanket for under your head or a low cushion for sitting when we do our sitting work. And yeah, know that you can substitute a chair or towel or any sort of thing there. Anyway, when you've got those things collected, go ahead and lie on your back. Legs bent or straight, it does not matter. You want to get in a place where you feel like you can comfortably rest back. So you don't have to worry about holding your legs in any position or keeping your shoulders in any given position. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. And particularly as you exhale, kind of have a sighing quality initially to the exhale, not only so you can relax your chest, your throat, your vocal cords, your shoulders, but also so that you can feel a pleasant heaviness of the body into the floor. Don't press into the floor, but do rest into the floor. We'll have a couple more rounds of breath, finding that ability to relax into ground. One more inhale and exhale. And then if your eyes are closed, go ahead and gently open them. Take the gaze forward to the ceiling and center your pupils in your eyes. Don't put a lot of eye strain into the mix, but do use it as a way to become aware of the head position and really the top end of your spine. For just a breath or two, track the length of your spine. So whether you start at the bottom or the top doesn't matter, but you want to feel the continuity of the various curves. And I'm going to start at the bottom. So you feel the tailbone resting into the mat. For most of us, there's a gentle upsweep through the back of the pelvis into a lumbar curve. And that space is different depending on the shape of your bones. But then a down swoop under the length of your ribs. Gently up, beginning under the base of the shoulders and the neck, right at the top of the shoulders, up under the neck, and then dropping down again under the back of your head. Feel the breath rolling through those curves. The inhale's moving down from the head now, through the neck, the back of the ribs, the low back, and then dropping down under the pelvis. And then the exhale is reversing, but staying along that same pathway. See if you can let the breath travel the length of the spine without introducing stress at any of the various levels in your torso. Not your hips, your low back, not your ribs, your chest, or your shoulders, not your neck, not even behind your scalp or in your face. Now, once you've gotten that, we're going to begin a little bit more definitive focus on connecting the core to the breath. You know that core muscles are breathing muscles. Might be more comfortable to bend the knees now and to maybe put a block between the knees or inner thighs. Once you've gotten yourself arranged for the continuation of breath work, have an exhale and feel again the weight of the pelvis in particular, not bearing down, but not lifting up or holding. Like you to kegel lightly or lightly contract pelvic floor muscles and keep that as you inhale. Pelvic floor is the only place where you should have tension at this point, and by that I mean useful tension. As you exhale, just release the breath and soften the bottom of the ribs. And here I'm referring to the respiratory diaphragm. We keep a light tensioning through pelvic floor and contract the diaphragm downward on the inhale, pulling the breath downward like a plunger, right? And then on the exhale, releasing the breath upward, still with supported pelvic floor, relaxing the diaphragm. Inhale downward toward pelvic floor grounding. Begin to lightly squeeze the inner thighs as support for the exhale. Release the breath upward. Kegel, inhale. Squeeze inner thighs and exhale. Keep this going for a minute or so longer. Feel the breath travel the complete length of your spine. Feel the very selective engagement of the muscles involved, and really just an awareness of those muscles. They were working all along. Pelvic floor supporting the center, the breath, the connection to the lower extremities. Inner thighs helping to support transversus as well as pelvic floor. Those muscles of support that lie deep under the surface of all the movers. 2 more rounds of breath in and out. And last one. Good. We'll continue with imprint and release. We'll use a 2-breath pattern this morning, which means for each phase of the breath, you're going to have something going on. Prepare by inhaling, maintaining light pelvic floor connection. Squeeze the inner thighs, and as you exhale, contract the lower abs to make an imprint. Low back draws toward the mat as the lumbar curve lengthens and flattens. When you inhale, release this imprint position. Allow the pelvis to return to its neutral state. And the next time you exhale, lightly engage the inner thighs, make your imprint, contract the low abs. Keeping your core support, inhale, return to neutral when it's time for that breath. Go through this round of imprint and release 2 more times. Mhm. The last time you imprint, I'm actually going to have you pause in that position. So when you get there, just maintain that lengthened lower back. Weight of the pelvis still resting, so make sure you're not pressing down through the feet or tensing the glutes. That will tend to lift the weight of the pelvis up and cause it to actually become ungrounded. Instead, keep the weight of the pelvis resting down, the imprinted low back, and now as you exhale and squeeze the inner thighs, feel a conversation between the inner thighs and your lower abs, very specifically. Inhale when it's time. And repeat this 2 more times so that when you exhale and squeeze the block or squeeze the knees together, you feel the lower abs are working with that connection or contraction. Do 1 more, relaxing low back and outer hips. Please inhale and stay in imprint. And this time, release to neutral on your exhale, allowing the abdominal contraction to release, still mobile in the hips, but still connected in your core. Good. Keep your neutral spine and extend your arms forward to the ceiling. You might want to use weights, that's fine. You might want to just dispense with the weights until we get the shoulders warmed. Once you've decided where you're going with this next one, we extend the arms forward toward the ceiling. No, don't move the arms back. I know a lot of you are familiar with this little sequence that we do, and so you know what's coming. But before moving into the shoulder extension, I'd like you to exhale and very lightly squeeze the block and feel that the contraction rises internally from the floor of the pelvis through the bottom of the ribs as the diaphragm relaxes and up into the length of your rib cage, your neck, and your head. Spread that support across the width of the chest and the shoulders without locking the shoulders themselves. Now, finally, on the next exhale, reach the arms back. We will stay in that reach of the arms as you inhale here. Squeeze the block lightly, and as you exhale, return the arms forward, pointed toward the ceiling, vertical in space. Prepare here, inhaling, draw the breath down, don't let it get stuck in the neck or the chest. And then when you squeeze the block, exhale, build support upward, releasing the arms back. Stay here. Pelvic floor important as you use it as a force to ground the inhale, drawing the breath down. Return on exhale when it's time. And continue through 2 more repetitions. Be careful as you align and support the ribs that you don't clamp down, right? We want to make sure that the sides of the waist, as well as the front and the back, are long. They're supported, they're aligned, but they're long and stretched. Good. 1 more repetition, please. Now, once you've returned the arms forward to the vertical position, we have one more thing to do before we let go of the shoulder work. It'll be an open and close to the side, and we'll use a 2-breath pattern rather than a 4-breath. Prepare here by exhaling and squeezing the inner thighs firmly, feeling support build upward, finding release across the chest. And then as you inhale, open the arms wide to the sides, stretching across the chest muscles. When you exhale, you'll return, of course, feeling support axially, but feel work in the front of the shoulders and in the chest. We have 3 more of these, a total of 4. Now, that work you feel as you bring the arms closed is the kind of work you're going to feel anytime we have the arms forward, especially for weight bearing, right? So we have good support and openness through the shoulders. When you're done, you can lower your arms to the side. And then release your weights and just turn your head left and right a couple of times, or right and left. Right? You can add any other movements that feel nice and help to release the neck. And then eventually roll over onto your side for spinal rotation. We keep our knees bent. We lie on our sides, hips and shoulders stacked vertically, knees as well. A ball or block between the knees is fine. That's kind of elective at this point. The arms are extended in front. Here we are, arms extended in front, and the chest not closed. When you're ready to begin, I want you to prepare by exhaling and squeezing the ball or block, or at least feeling the knees pressed together, outer hips released. And then on your inhale, begin to turn the head upward, lift the top arm. And on the exhale, continue to twist open, top shoulder, top side of the ribs falling back. The head continues to turn as it tracks the arm. Hold the open twist and inhale. Squeeze the block and return on your exhale. We do 4 here. Inhale to initiate the rotation and exhale to complete it. Have a full breath in and use the final exhale to return from rotation. All right, so a continuation of that nice mobility of the neck, that opening of the shoulder, the twisting of the waist, ideally without displacing the rib cage. Right. Lower body stable, stationary, without tension there, apart from a very light inner thigh connection, a very light pelvic floor connection. When you've returned from your 4th one, go ahead and roll to the other side. You set it up, it usually doesn't take as long. Do prepare with that good squeeze of the inner thighs, that like Kegel. And then on your inhale, turn the head upward and lift the arm. Exhale continues the rotation into the larger movement. Feel a good twisting at the waist, but no twisting in the pelvis. And return on your next exhale breath. And try not to initiate from the neck or the shoulder. Beginning on your inhale to initiate that rotation, continuing on your exhale. The ribs are aligned or just rotated around your axis. When you return, feel the strong muscles around the waist. Yeah, then up the length of your ribs. And then, of course, the shoulder, the neck, and the head. Final 2, please. Nice and smooth, regular breath in. And when the lungs are full, continuing with a nice regular breath out, not jagged, not held. hmm And when you've completed your fourth one, come to hands and knees. We'll continue with some cat stretch, and we're only going to do two. We're going to do kind of the funky version where I'll describe it, where we initiate the return motion in a little bit different way. We are weight bearing on the hands here as well as the knees. Shift your weight a little forward and back, make sure it's centered. You can do little movements with the shoulders, the hips, and the spine until you find that neutral place. You've got lots of practice finding that proprioceptively. And then because you're weight bearing, the arms are extended forward. Make sure first that the elbows aren't locked, and second that the shoulders are in a strong but neutral position, not closed through the chest or hunched through the back. Inhale in preparation. And then on your exhale, begin at the bottom of the spine to round a vertebra at a time, making an angry cat arch. Right. Hold here, inhale. Now listen, we're going to start at the top now. On the exhale, return the head through neutral. Open the chest, lengthen the waist, neutral all the way down through the hips. And then inhale, continue extending and opening the chest before releasing and returning to your starting position. One more of these, guys. Exhale and round from the base of the spine through the hips, all the way upward sequentially through shoulders, neck, and head. Inhale here. You can push back a little bit. And then exhale, return with the head right away, opening the chest and the shoulders, releasing the shrugging, the rounding, opening, lengthening all the way through the hips before extending upper back, activating the bottom of the shoulder blades downward and inward. Release. Lie onto your backs, please, and we'll continue that kind of motion from supine with hip rolls. A little ball between the knees or feet is usually a good idea with this. If nothing else, then for just an alignment cue. Minimal head mat, not too much here under the back of the head. A little bit's okay, but too much will displace your head forward. When you're set, have a breath in and breath out. In your neutral, feeling the weight of the body relax back, finding your breathing muscles, but releasing your moving muscles. Inhale in preparation. Lightly squeeze or activate inner thighs, and exhale, roll up a vertebra at a time, beginning with your imprint, the lower back flexing, sequentially each vertebra above that, as you eventually lift most of your spine from the mat. We're still resting on the shoulders. No weight into the neck. Inhale here, weight down through the soles of the feet. Exhale, release the spine back to the ground, vertebra by vertebra, until you've landed in neutral again. Right, simulating what we did in cat stretch, essentially. Inhale. Exhale, start at the bottom of your spine and round, rolling up. And we're pressing the feet down, really using the back of the hips and the thighs. The abs are assisting, the knees are stretching. You have your breath in at the top. Roll down, keep your feet. We'll have one more of these, guys. So when you've returned to neutral at the bottom, prepare one last time. And then exhale, roll it up. Steady over your feet. Make a point of softening your face and your neck. And then exhale, roll down. Once you've rolled down and returned to neutral, you can do whatever you need to do with the ball. We will continue with some ab prep, and we'll start with the hands behind the head. So we've got the elbows lifted up, open and close them a little bit out to the side until you feel a place where the shoulder tops can just sort of rest down onto the length of your ribs. We are going to keep the head on the mat and just do a couple of head nods. It's like an imprint for your cervical spine. Inhale, stretch the chin downward without lifting the head from the mat. And exhale, Return to neutral head position, eyes forward to the ceiling. Do that 2 or 3 more times. And of course, you can open and close your jaws, right? You can make any weird faces that you need to release facial tension. I can't see your faces, so go for it. Maybe nodding one more time and releasing. You can even stick your tongue out at me. I'll never know. Good. Return to neutral. And now inhale, keep a neutral head position. Squeeze the block on your exhale, following along. Keep the light toning between inner thighs. Kegel, inhale, nod the head. And exhale, continuing the head nod, we round forward through the upper back, lifting the back of the head, the neck, the shoulder tops, maybe all the way up to the shoulder blades. Hold here, inhale. Squeeze inner thighs lightly, exhale, lower down. Nod the head with your inhale. Squeeze the block and exhale, bend forward, activating, moving forward into flexion towards your center. We have an inhale, holding the flexion, and an exhale to lower. Do a total of 6, so 4 more. And feel that before you even attempt to bend forward, you've exhaled enough to relax the respiratory diaphragm. Don't hold tension inside the bottom of the ribs. That actually makes it harder to bend through that area of your spine. Same thing on the way back down. We want to release the tension there and rely on the obliques externally to guide the spine in and out of flexion. So that's actually another thing. You don't want to substitute diaphragmatic work or tension for oblique work, which is the toning that we're after. Right? You want those muscles around your ribs and your waist to be strong and coordinated. Please do the last 1 or 2. I think it's 2 more for most of us here. Do 1 more, please. And as you nod the head, truly release through the muscles at the back of your neck. Don't go for an intense stretch back there. Go for relaxation or ease back there and bend forward, keeping the toning in the throat muscles, keeping the toning in the low abs. We got it. Beautiful. When you finish this one, take your hands out from behind your head, stretch your legs, and put your prop off to the side if you're using something between your knees. Stretch your legs long when you're ready. Take it slowly. You don't want to like shock the lower back. And point and flex your feet a couple of times. We are moving into our prone extension. We usually do that at this point in the workout. Let's get the feet and ankles a little bit mobile so that as we point the toes, they have less of a tendency to grip into tight little cramps. So flex, pull the toes back, inhale, point, exhale. Do that a couple of times, and you'll get a little rocking over the base of the heels. When you've done that up and down or forward and back, then swish side to side, toes going right, toes going left. You'll get a lateral rolling across the heels and probably up the stem of the legs. And then take them into circles, both feet circling in a counterclockwise or clockwise sense. Do a couple of 3 times in each rotation. And then just shake your toes out. We'll roll over onto our fronts and make ready for breaststroke prep number 1. Lately, I've been describing this as the mirror image of ab prep, and it really is. We do have our elbows bent, and so we've got some support against the floor through our forearms. Keep those forearms parallel and the chest open. We want this to be primarily about the muscles of the back, the extensor muscles, right? But because we will inevitably be helping a little bit with our arms, take care to open the chest. And as you begin to use the arms, don't crowd the neck or you'll see when you come up. We want to feel nice and open through the length of our ribs, through the length of our hips. Stretch the legs, point your toes, and exhale, draw the inner thighs together. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, get your core, and then contract the bottom of the shoulder blades downward and inward toward the midline to begin lifting the chest as it projects forward, forward and up to the bottom of the ribs. You can press a little into your forearms, but don't do it from your neck. Do it from the elbows, from the lower part of the shoulder blades. And then exhale and lower, please. All of the big movement here occurs on the exhale. When you're flat to the ground, Kegel and inhale. Before moving, get your exhale, inner thighs, stretch the legs, and as the breath proceeds, then you proceed into your extension. At the top here, you hold the extension and really allow a release across the sides and top of the shoulders, the sides of the neck, top of the shoulders. Exhale and lower down. Please do 2 more. So we have a supported extension that goes all the way up through the bottom of the ribs, through that diaphragmatic area. When you breathe in here, breathe into the side ribs. And then when you breathe out, relax the diaphragm as you lower down. Continue through 1 more round when you're ready. When you've rested down, straighten your arms and bring them down along your sides. We're going to do 3 repetitions of dart, right? The one with the arms by the side, where we're really just bringing the chest up to a hover above the surface of the mat, still working the same area of the back. We stretch the legs. On the inhale breath, prepare by lifting the arms along your sides, balancing and squaring the shoulders with the palms facing inward. On your exhale, we stretch through the legs, through the crown, and come up using the middle back muscles, contracting lightly below the shoulder blades and through the back of your shoulders and arms. Feel your triceps. Hovering here, inhale, exhale, and lower down. Releasing shoulders forward. Good. Inhale, place the shoulders, be conscious of what it takes to open the chest and align the shoulders by your sides. And then exhale, continue projecting breath forward and upward as the chest stretches forward and lifts upward a couple of inches. Feet on the ground, stretch them long behind you, pressing top of the feet into the ground. Inhale, and then exhale, lower. We have a 3rd and final repetition. Continue into that when you're ready. Good. When you've lowered, ease back into a shell stretch. You can sit on your heels or you can sit on your hips. Get your feet out of the way if more upright is better. Um, it's kind of like a halfway down child's pose. So we're not just folded at the hips, we're really rounding through the lower spine. The length of your rib cage is rounded, and we've got the curve distributed, the length of your spine up and down. Inhale, breathe into the back as well as into the side ribs. And exhale, soften your hips, your shoulders, your jaws. We'll have another couple of breaths in and out here. Any other movements you need to make is fine. And then use your exhale to roll back up, coming to vertical, stacking the spine from bottom to top. Lie onto your backs, please. Have your knees bent. Grab your flex band if you like to use it for the 100. It's particularly helpful if you want to keep the head down, if it's safer for your neck. Totally legit. It's helpful to find not only the proper action of the shoulders, but also the effort that is required from your transversus, even in this flexed spine position, because we're all an imprint, whether or not we bend the upper spine forward. So I'll give you a moment to get arranged and then bend your knees. And one of the first things we'll do is to exhale and make that imprint. Go ahead and make that position. And feel that not only is it a contraction of the abs that changes the shape of your spine, but as you exhale, it's also a deeper connection under the surface that propels the breath, that supports the whole height of your waist. Okay. Relax your neck and shoulders, and on an exhale breath, lift a leg at a time into tabletop. So one foot coming off the ground, can you point the foot as you lift it? Same thing with the second leg, maybe a second breath. And then here's the real awkward part. I mean, you're going to have to lasso your knees, right? So you place the band over the top of the shins, just below the knees. And all of us, before we bend forward, because everybody's got their own variation, go ahead and pull the arms back and feel that widening and opening of the chest as you also activate the shoulder girdle, right? I'm sort of nattering on about that this morning. Can you do that without immobilizing or gripping the neck? If you're going to bend forward, inhale, nod the chin now. And as you exhale, forward bend, stretching the length of your ribs without building tension in the length of your spine. Adjust your shoulders, have one more exhale, pulling down and feeling breath as well as contraction. Continue into the pulsing. 5 inhales as you pulse the arms. 5 exhales as you continue the pulsing. Now, I haven't mentioned inner thighs, but of course you know that that's going on. Right, you feel the supportive co-contraction between lower abs and inner thighs, and vice versa. And that length down through the back of the pelvis, the weight of the lower spine toward the mat. That's it. We do 10 sets of 10 breaths, which is why this is called the 100. Be careful not to push the shoulders from the front of the shoulder girdle, but to keep the chest open, lightly active while you pull the arms from the back of the shoulders. And when you've done your 10th set of 10 breaths, you'll pull back and inhale smoothly, feeling the openness of the chest, the strength of your shoulders, and the connection to your core and pelvic floor. And then exhale, roll down if your head is lifted. Put the band off to the side. And you can lower one foot at a time to the mat, keeping the imprint. Right, feeling that as a skill. I can move my legs and not move my spine. When your feet are on the ground, widen your stance a little bit, and we'll do a windshield wiper motion through the legs, dropping the knees a little bit to one side and a little bit to the other. Mhm. And when you've done that, you can roll off to one side and come up to sitting. We will do a couple of things in sitting. So it might be nice to be up on a cushion, a low stool, or even a chair. We'll have our feet on the ground, and you have the option of using the block between your knees or ankles. Pardon me. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is actually do a little forward flexion up and extension. So it's like a repetition of cat and cow or cat stretch. So I'll sit up on my cushion. Your knees are bent, your feet are grounded. So be careful you're not rolling to the outer edges of the feet or dropping through the inner arches. We'll inhale and nod the head, still keeping it on the same plane as the upper back. And then exhale, flex forward, a vertebra at a time. Now you can take it as far down as you want to go. You can think of aiming the forehead for the knees, but please don't strain or fold the spine to reach there. Most of us will not. Take a breath at the bottom in that full flexion of the curve. And then as you exhale from bottom to top, lengthen upward. So we've been going in and out of flexion and extension with different directions of initiation. Once you're at the top, now very lightly contract the bottom of the shoulder blades and allow the chest to lift. Here, do not displace the bottom of the ribs forward. So I know for myself, if I put a hand on the bottom of my ribs, I can feel when they're in the plane of the abs, and then I can feel when they're not. And then exhale, release to neutral. Without all the jabber, please do one more repetition. not the head. And exhale, continue into your forward flexion. Stay here, inhale slowly, distribute the curve up and down the length of your spine. And then exhale and roll back up. When you're ready for the extension, make sure to preserve the line of the bottom ribs. Open, reaching through the top of the chest, peel the shoulders back and let that go. Preserve that feeling of openness in the front of the shoulders and extend the arms forward from that position. We'll move into half roll back or really flexion from the bottom of the spine. Exhaling, begin with that imprint feeling, activating the low abs and rounding the low back specifically, pulling the front of the pelvis away from the thighs. In that half rolled back position, your upper body is still upright or vertical. Inhale, and then exhale, begin to release lower back flexion. Let the front of the pelvis drop down. Keep reaching the fingertips forward, opening the chest. And do another one of these guys. Exhaling, roll back, specifically flexing lower spine. Feel space between the front of your pelvis and the top of your thighs. Have a breath in that position. And then exhale, release it. The pubic bones will drop right down through the space between your hips. And now we work it further. Neck pull front prep. You can have hands to forehead or lightly behind the ears. Be careful to make the choice that doesn't allow your head to press forward. So I put my hands to my forehead because I'm a cheater. Take a breath in. Starts the same way half roll back did. We exhale and curve the lower spine, lengthening it, pulling the front of the pelvis away from the top of the thighs. Keep the head on top of the shoulders on top of the ribs. Take a breath in that half rolled back position. And now exhale, complete the full rounding of the spine, bending the upper body forward. Forehead rounding toward the knees. As you do that, weight shifts forward until you're on your sitting bones again. When you're there, inhale, stack up. 2 more times, please. Exhale, half roll back through the lower spine, curving from under the tail, through the low back, through the bottom of the ribs. Pause, take a breath. And now exhale, continue from the bottom of the ribs forward. Stretching over the curve. Once you're on your sitting bones, inhale and stack yourself up. And then with your own cueing, continue through one more round, please. Begins on your exhale. Beautiful. Finally release your arms down when you've completed the last one, and stretch your legs out in front of you. We'll do our twist seated, just plain old version. Right. I'm going to suggest arms out to the side, but we'll start with those weird arms forward. Right. So with the fingertips reaching forward, we'll begin to proprioceptively align the spine, right? So you can feel inside when you're all lined up. And then we're going to open and close the arms a couple of times. Imagine there's a set of heavy drapes or something heavy on the outside of each arm and hand. And we're going to inhale and just open, pulling those drapes apart with the back of the shoulders. And then move the arms forward. Inhale, pull the drapes apart, dropping the shoulders from the neck, feeling support through the bottom of the ribs. And exhale, squeeze lightly through the chest without closing it. The next time we open the arms, we stay there. Inhale, open, still keeping your kegel. Now the arms stay open, and dividing the exhale up into 3 parts, we twist a little. We exhale again and twist more. We exhale a final time and twist the final amount. Inhale as you return through center. Feel like you've just pushed aside those heavy drapes. See in front of you. And exhale, twist a little to the other side. Exhale, twist more. And exhale, twist to the end. Inhale, opening. See the place in front of you. And exhale, continue. That idea of seeing what's in front of you helps again to align the head and to not disconnect your head from the larger part of the spine below. Yeah. Another time across the sides, preserving the openness and the activation, the support through the shoulders, the support and the openness through the chest, the connection into bottom ribs and through the crown of the head. Good. When you return to center, hold on for a moment. And then I want you to exhale and bring the arms in front of you. So we just took a little detour in the center of that exercise. Switch the palms downward, flip them downward. And then on your inhale breath, pull the elbows back like you're going to do a push-up. Palms coming back, but still facing away. And then exhale, push away. So it's an isometric push-up. We are going to do some weight bearing on the hands and the knees. And so we're going to prepare the shoulders in this way. Inhale, bend the elbows. They come back and skim the ribs. Keep the ribs in line. And as you exhale and press the arms forward, engage the chest in front of the shoulders, but keep the back. One more, inhale. And exhale, get your core and reach your shoulders. Lower the arms and just shake out your hands. We're going to come to hands and knees. And so let's go ahead and make any adjustments you need to make to get there comfortably. Here's where a blanket under the knees or maybe under the wrists, under like this part of your wrists, can be helpful. You can do weight bearing on the fists. You can even use your weights, pretending this is the ground, as a little bit of clearance for fingers if you have on your fists. Yoga blocks, magic for cranky wrists. All right, so I think I've talked long enough to give you all time to get there. We're going to do a swimming stretch. Yeah, and I want you not to go so much for height or while keeping long. I don't want you to get so reached that you really come into a skew through the body. But I want you to think largely of maintaining the bottom of the ribs with the bottom of the pelvis while centering the shoulders and keep your heads. Yeah. So we'll start with just the legs. We'll inhale here. We're in neutral. And on the exhale, stretch one leg back and don't let anything else shift or chase that leg. Hold the reach of the leg and feel the continuity, not only up through the hips and the ribs, but into the shoulders. Feel like the leg extended behind you is pressing through the midline, and then bring that leg back down. We do the other side, of course. I'm probably going to run into my dresser. Exhale, extend the leg back. Hold here. Check all those little things. And then exhale, return. We do the first leg, prepare, and exhale, reach. Can you keep the shoulders supported and active without closing the chest or straining the neck? Hold here and feel that you can extend the opposite arm forward, whether or not you actually do. If you're going there, try not to skew the shoulders in particular. Square them off, balance them, balance the hips. Inhale, and then exhale, return. Do the other side. So start with the leg. And once you're there, feel that you can, or actually lift the opposite arm and check that you haven't shifted the shoulders, right? Or come into rotation through the hips. When you've ensured that you're where you want to be, Return your hand and your knee and sit back for a moment. So take the weight out of your wrist and shake your hands out. Right. We are going to return to hands and knees, so a little bit of a breather is probably not a bad idea. Have another breath and then grab your block and come to hands and knees position. A ball works, a bunched up towel works, right? We're actually going to do our knee hover or our leg pull front prep, which makes no sense unless you know what leg pull front looks like. We're going to focus on lengthening and supporting the sides of the waist, keeping the ribs aligned, weight bearing on the feet and on the hands and shoulders without a lot of difficulty for neck or low back. So first, kind of move your spine around. Okay. All right, move your shoulders around. You can wag your butt side to side. Find that position where you're centered and tuck your toes. Inhale here. And as you keep a neutral spine, exhale, squeeze the inner thighs together and feel that activation internally. Take a breath now. And on the exhale, as you squeeze the block and activate core internally, go ahead and press down through toes and hands and lift the knees just an inch or two. Hold here. Your gaze is forward between your fingertips. I keep looking at you guys. And on your exhale, lower. Repeat. We take a breath. And exhale, lift the knees just an inch or two, like literally enough I could slide a piece of paper underneath. Hold that, hover, keep your weight centered, your shoulders supported, kegel squeeze the block, and exhale, lower your knees. Please do 2 more repetitions, and this is in lieu of push-ups. So this is our plank style stability. We're squeezing the block and lifting the knees, and squeezing the block and lowering, not crashing. You've got it. 1 more. Beautiful. When you've completed the last one, sit back into shell stretch again. All right, in your shell stretch, you can have arms by your sides. Sometimes it's nice, I'll pretend I've got my hands on the floor, to extend the arms forward on the ground and have palms upward, right? Sometimes back along your sides like that so that the wrists have a different angle. Breathe in and out a couple of times. And then use an exhale to roll up, but not too far, because we're going to lie down prone on the mat. Grab your ball or block. And we're going to do heel squeeze. If you don't want to use a ball or block, you can just squeeze the heels, as the title of the exercise would imply. Okay. So you're going to have your legs apart to the outer edges of the mat and your knees bent. Change my camera angle a little bit so you can actually see where my knees are. There we go. Okay, so we've got the same position that we have for most of our prone work, all of our prone work, with the bottom of the pelvis forward, hips resting into the mat, not bearing down, and the legs apart to the outer edges. Right. Bend your knees and flex your feet and feel that you have an awareness of alignment all the way up. We are going to rotate the thighs externally, so either the heels come together or the heels come into the sides of block or ball. Okay. Then rest your head down. Pardon me. With the head resting down, have an exhale and squeeze the block and feel that same alignment of hips to shoulders as well as activation of core that we just had a moment ago in hands and knees. 2 more times, you'll exhale and squeeze the block, releasing through the neck. And 1 more time, activating inner thighs, firming the sides of the waist. Now I'll add a lift of the knees or an extension of the hips. So visualize the bottom of your bum, the back of your thighs, and the little crease in between. We're going to move through that area It's your subgluteal crease. Believe it or not, it has a name. Take a breath. Exhale, squeeze the block, and begin to lift the thigh bones up, moving through that crease at the bottom of your bum. Hold the lift. Inhale here. Exhale, squeeze the block lightly, and lower your knees. Try not to rock the pelvis or move the low back. Exhale, we repeat, squeezing the block, lifting through that crease. You'll feel your glutes, your hamstrings, the inner thighs. Hold, inhale, and exhale, lower. 3 more, please. And we've done a lot of working core and abs in neutral this morning. Right. Super useful skill. Hopefully most of our days we don't walk around hunched or rounded forward. Flexion's great, but you know, you might not spend all your time that way. Yes, low abs and glutes balancing each other, spine comfortable, lower extremities working. When you've lowered from the last one, right, drop your legs down and sit back into shell stretch again. Nice work, you guys. In your shell stretch this time. That's a hard thing to say. Walk your hands over to the right. Right, and so we get a nice side stretch. Have a breath or two here. And then when you're ready, walk your hands over to the left. Hands return through center. And then stack yourself up. Right. We're going to go ahead and do some roll down finally. So you knew that that was coming. We just had this long detour in between to stabilize the shoulders. I found personally, as well as in teaching classes, I taught classes for 20 years at this point, that a lot of the challenge in roll up is not necessarily moving your spine, but moving your spine without yanking your shoulders into your neck. Okay, so now that we've had that grim description, we're going to do the exercise. You might want to have a pillow back for your head. Your legs will be stretched out. I'm going to use a yoga block between my feet because sometimes legs get ungrounded as I stretch along the floor. Might be the same for you. And because I want to challenge my shoulders today, I am going to use weights in my hands. You can do the same. All right. Arms extended forward, triceps strong, shoulders strong. On your exhale breath, find your core and then begin to roll back. You'll feel that half roll back action, the flexion of the low spine. Be sure to complete it. Very common to run out of breath here. Take another one and then exhale, continue to round the spine. And of course, we're lowering to the mat a vertebra at a time. Once the head is down, the shoulders are back. You can extend the shoulders, reaching arms overhead or behind you. And then inhale as the head nods, the arms move forward. Exhale, bend forward. Flexing through the spine. Try not to shorten the neck or displace the head. Keep your arms and shoulders strong. And once you're up, you're free to go forward if you like. I'm just going to come sitting up. Roll back again. We do 3 more of these, guys. Activate inner thighs, whether or not you're using a block, and keep the back of the legs dropping or pressing down toward ground. When you bend forward, your arms are reaching forward, but you're not closing the chest. So we're using chest in front of the shoulders without sacrificing support for the back of the shoulder blades. Balanced shoulders and good head position Keep the neck way more comfortable and safe. We got it, guys. Continuing down and then up. Yes. Oh, you guys look strong. The next time you roll down, we're gonna stay there. So we're only gonna do half a repetition. Stretch the arms behind. That can feel like a nice extension through the shoulders and stretch for the waist. And then soften the arms forward. Find your flex band if you like to use it for one leg circle. And then we're gonna go into a very specific stretch of the legs too. So we've done a lot for the back of the hips and the inner thighs. So, and I'll give you an option for if you don't have a flex band. If you do have a flex band, go ahead and put it over the sole of your foot and hold it in the same sided hand. We're gonna use the opposite hand to help stabilize the position of the thigh bone and the knee. Now, if you don't have a flex band, you just do this without the band, and it's still a stretch for the hamstrings. Once you've gotten one leg off the ground, we keep the other knee bent, and you'll have a pretty natural imprint position. Go ahead and support it with your abs. And then with your opposite hand to VMO of the lifted leg, that's your medial thigh muscle. I'd like you to exhale and reach through the sole of the foot as you stretch the leg. And we're stretching the hamstrings, activating VMO, not jamming the knee. Keep inner thighs aligned. And then inhale, soften. We do it 2 more times. Exhale. Notice a co-contraction in the low abs as you support imprinting, keep inner thighs. And one more. Exhale. So no flex band, looks like this. Now keep the legs straight. And I put that in air quotes because we're going to keep VMO working. If the leg isn't perfectly straight, that's okay. Use your psoas, your deep hip flexors, to stretch the top of the hamstrings, bottom of the glutes by gently exhaling and bringing your thigh closer to your pelvis. Inhale, release a little bit. And if you're using your flex band, you can gently guide the leg. No flex band, no problem. Inhale. One more, exhale. The hips are balanced, the low back and pelvis is balanced. And then release. Now we take it into one leg circle finally. So we add lateral motion. Bottom leg can stretch away a little bit, or it can stretch completely. If you're using a flex band, go ahead and ground the elbows. No flex band, just bring the arms to your sides. Reach through the length of your legs, point your toes if you're not using the band, and then inhale, bring the leg across the midline. Exhale, sweep the leg down. Take it in a big arc out to the side. Oh, I'm gonna hit my dresser. Out to the side and back to where you started from. 3 more. Crossing the midline, circling the leg down, out to the side, then back up to where you started from. Good, you guys. Now, when you've done 4, continue in the opposite direction. Reset the leg if necessary. Begin on the inhale and circle on the exhale. That's it. And then you'll bend the knee, take the flex band off the foot. And put that foot onto the ground, keeping the knee bent. We switch out the sides and continue directly with the opposite leg or the other leg, the alternate leg. Yeah. We'll do our little stretching. And so with the opposite hand, we're checking the VMO. And once you've balanced the pelvis and added your imprint muscles, you'll exhale, right, and straighten this knee or stretch it using your medial quads to perform that action. Inhale, relax a little bit. We do 3 times. Mhm. Third time's a charm. We keep that leg long and stretched and supported, and then use psoas, deep low abs, to flex the hip. Ooh, and release. That's 2 more times as well. So you'll find the hamstrings there at the very top are getting more of the stretch. When you've done your last one, keep the leg long and supported and maybe slide the bottom foot down the mat, get it out of the way. We'll do our one leg circle on this side, beginning in the inward direction. Inhale, legs moves across the midline. Exhale, it circles down. Big arc out to the side and to the top. 4 total. Mhm. Keep breathing. When you've done your 4, reverse out to the side with the inhale, circle on the exhale. Beautiful. And especially if you're holding your flex band, use your arm, your forearm strength, your grip strength, but don't have a lot of gripping in the shoulders and certainly not in the neck. And when you've done your 4th one, bend the knee and put your flex band off to the side. Both feet on the ground for a moment. And then you can keep the knees bent or slide the legs long as we take 3 finishing breaths. I know I've kept you about a minute or so over. I apologize for that. Sometimes my clock isn't so good in my head. Right. So when you're stretched out, when your weight is into the ground, you can close your eyes, breathe in, and then exhale in kind of a sigh. So no effort really applied to this. Your body knows how to exhale. Breathe in and out 2 more times. Knows how to inhale too. Just don't do it with your neck. Releasing the exhale. Ease moving into the joints and the muscles. Inhale in a holistic sort of way, feeling the breath all through the inner surface of the body. And then exhale 1 more time. Eyes open gently. And you guys, I'm gonna end class and turn off the recording. You can stay on the floor if you like. You can stretch as you like. Thanks for coming and have a really great day.